The back squat. So there's two main types of back squat that you can do, the high bar back squat and the low bar back squat. Which one you do is going to depend. If you're an Olympic weightlifter, you're probably going to do a high bar back squat. If you're a powerlifter, you're probably going to do a low bar back squat. If you're just training for general fitness, hypertrophy, strength, doesn't really matter which one you do. Don't get caught up in all that rubbish. Just do whichever one feels more comfortable for you, or do them both. Mix and match, change it up, see which one you prefer, see which one you can move more weight with, whatever works for you, do that. This video is going to be about the low bar back squat. Now, the difference between the high bar back squat and the low bar back squat is the bar position on your back. And the difference in the bar position, so a high bar back squat puts the bar up here high on the traps, whereas a low bar back squat brings the bar down here and places it just under the spine of the scapula. So the spine of the scapula is a bony bit you've got just here on the top of your shoulder blade, or kind of top part of your shoulder blade, and the bar sits just below there. Now this difference of a few inches is going to affect your torso angle. Okay, so a high bar back squat, you've got a more vertical torso, a little bit closer to something like a front squat, whereas a low bar back squat, you've got a more forward inclination of the torso. All right. Some argue that that loads up the glutes and the hamstrings more. Some argue it doesn't, so I'm not even going to touch that. But that's the main difference, is that the bar position on the back is going to change the torso angle. And the reason for that is because you always want to keep the bar above the middle of your foot. So if the bar is up high, you can have a more vertical torso because the bar is still going to be above the middle of your foot. Whereas when it's down low, as you squat down, if you were going to try and maintain a vertical torso, the bar is going to be behind your foot or back near your heels. It's probably going to pull you backwards. So you need to lean forward more to keep that bar over the middle of the foot. So that's really what it really boils down to, keeping the barbell in a line above the middle of the foot. So for the low bar back squat, I'm going to run through a couple of key points of performance. You're going to look at your stance, going to look at the height of the bar in the rack, going to look at your grip width, and we're going to look at the position of the bar on your back, and then we'll have a look at a few reps as well and go from there. So the stance for the low bar back squat is roughly shoulder width position, maybe slightly wider. Okay, some people prefer a wider stance with the low bar back squat because of the forward inclination of the torso. They need a wider stance. Particularly powerlifters, if they've got a big belly, they need somewhere for that to go. If they're too narrow, their belly hits their quads, which can be a benefit, but that's a story for another day. So my low bar back squat position is slightly wider than shoulder width apart. I keep my feet pointing straight ahead. That enables me to screw my feet into the floor, create torque up the chain through the hips, and activate all the muscles that I need activating or working right, and nice solid structures. You can, if you feel more comfortable, turn the feet out slightly, but you don't want them way out like so. All right, so that's my stance. Screw my feet into the floor. Imagine tearing the floor apart with my feet as I come down. I want to think about my knees tracking in line with my feet. So you're always applying slight pressure out by screwing those feet into the floor. And then again, standing up. Again, you want to have that depth just below parallel. So hip joint just below knee joint. So that's your stance and the mechanics of basically going up and down. Actually, one point I didn't mention is that when you do squat, just think about hips and knees breaking at the same time. Okay, so flexing at the same time. You don't want to be pushing your butt back and then coming down like some sort of weird good morning squat. It's just hips and knees flex at the same time as you drop down. Bar position for the low bar back squat. So this is the key point of difference between this exercise, the low bar back squat, and the high bar back squat. So the low bar back squat, as I've mentioned, the bar sits down here on this, just below this bony bit on your shoulder blade. Now, I'm going to show you that exact position in a tick. But first of all, we want to look at the grip. So with the grip for the low bar back squat, you don't actually grab the bar. You're going to place your thumb like so, in line with your fingers. Keep your wrist nice and straight, and that's going to sit on top of the bar. All right, and the reason for this is going to become apparent when I get into the position and I show you what happens if you don't do that. It's all about taking strain off the wrists, making sure the bar is loaded through our back, not through our wrists. So to do the low bar back squat requires some more shoulder, thoracic mobility than the high bar because of the position of it and because of the position you need to get your hands in. So you may need to go wider. I still tend to take up a fairly close grip just because my mobility allows it. So again, I go about a thumb's length, maybe 2 thumbs lengths outside the break and the knurling. Place my hand on top. I'm going to do that here. Going to slide under the bar. All right, so I've got the bar here on my traps and then I can feel that bony bit on my shoulder blades. I'm just going to slide just under it, okay? In this position here, squeeze my elbows in, squeeze my shoulder blades in, and I'm taking up the bar here. So in this position here, the bar is sitting on muscle just below the spine of the scapula. So in this position here, you can see the bar is quite low on my back and my wrists are completely straight. My elbows are back a little bit from my torso, but I can still stand up straight, and it's really the force of my hands pushing into the bar and the bar sitting on that muscle built up in my back that enables the bar to sit there. So I'm just going to perform a few reps and then come back and talk about it. So again, getting my grip, placing my hands on the top here, sliding under the bar, finding the spine of the scapula, dropping just below it, making sure the muscle is bulged up in the rear of the shoulders, the upper back, squeezing my shoulder blades together, squeezing my elbows into my side, stand up. Take a step back, get my foot position right, breath in, standing up. So a couple of points on that you might have noticed. As I squatted down, my head stayed neutral. I was looking at a spot about 6 foot in front of me there. So as I came down, my head stayed in line with my torso. I wasn't looking up and craning my neck. I was in this position here. And as I stood up, my eyes came up straight ahead. The other thing is my torso position. Probably noticed I was leaning forward a lot more than what you would lean in a high bar back squat or say a regular air squat. And that again is to keep the bar over the middle of your foot. Anytime the bar goes forward of that or back of that, you're going to be off balance. All right, so we want that bar always over the middle of the foot, whether you're doing a high bar back squat or a low bar back squat. So the breathing, again, same as a high bar back squat. Suck a breath in through the nose. Expand horizontally your ribs, squat, let the breath out through the nose as you get past that sticking point in the squat, which is typically that quarter squat position. As you get through there, release the breath. And as you walk the bar back into the rack, all you've got to do is walk in, hit the rack, lower it down. You don't need to look at the rack. If you've hit this rack, you can be assured that you're over the hooks and you can just drop it straight down. Don't go looking for the hooks, look for the rack. Hit that straight down. You'll hit it every time. And that, folks, is the low bar back squat. Any questions, let me know.